Hello! Welcome to my channel. My name is Nicole and I like to do sewing videos. The plan for this video is going to be a bit of a vlog of me making a dress for an upcoming wedding. Yes, another wedding guest dress. I did one of these videos last year and I made a really nice like floor length strappy back dress that honestly turned out so well. I'm obsessed with that dress and I'll be wearing that dress if this whole project does not turn out. So if you see this video, that means the dress worked. I have been struggling for so long to figure out what I want to do. I've been thinking about this in the back of my mind for months and just searching through Pinterest, trying to get inspiration, trying to get some ideas. I'm not excited by any of the things that I'm seeing. I don't know what I want to wear. And something I was hoping for was to find a really cool printed primary color, of course, pattern that would spark some inspiration as to what type of dress I wanted to make. But honestly, I didn't see anything and I went shopping for a few weeks and nothing spoke to me. So we're gonna go with just a solid color. That's just like the easiest thing to do. And I decided to go for full red. So today I went out to go purchase fabric. Of course, I told myself I was gonna vlog the entire thing. And it wasn't until my walk home that I realized I didn't film a single thing. I completely forgot. So now I'm just gonna give you a really brief haul because I did spend like $125 on fabric, not just for this dress. I had another project I picked up for as well, which you will be seeing very shortly because it's my next sewing pattern that I'm working on. I went to Affordable Textiles in downtown Toronto. I did check out a couple places. I looked at Fabricland and other fabric shops on Queen Street, but I ended up picking up all of my fabric at Affordables. This is like very basic fabric. It's not exciting. So for the dress, I decided to go with a red linen. I think the linen of it all can really make it something that you can dress up and dress down. And with the silhouette I have in mind, it will be dressy enough to wear to a wedding and then also hopefully casual enough to like wear it out during the day. We'll see. That's the dream. So that's for this project. But another thing I am working on is my next pattern. And for that, I'm actually going to be doing a zip-up hoodie. Winter is coming and I'm honestly just thinking of things I need in my wardrobe and more sweaters that are removable and put onable and have a hood. And yes, I know I could just buy more sweaters, but I have this urge to just make everything that I wear. So I picked up some sweatshirt material with the fleece on the inside, and this is just like a true red. You can't go wrong with a true red. So I picked that up, and because it is a sweater and it will have ribbing, I had to get a matching ribbing. And the color test, okay, this is good enough for me. It's basically the same color. I already made a sweater as like my prototype and I did it in white because I felt like white would be the easiest thing to match, and boy was I wrong. It was the same color in the store, but as soon as I got it to natural lighting, it was no longer the same color. Actually, I'm going to show it to you. One second. So this is the hoodie that I made that is going to be my next sewing pattern. This was the first prototype I did and there's a few tweaks I have to make, but I am really happy with how it turned out and I will be launching this pattern hopefully within the next month or so. That is the goal. Fingers crossed. Speaking about patterns, this cute little mock neck tank top is one that I made as well. My favorite part about it is the back. So I think before I can move any further along, I will have to pre-wash all my fabrics. I know pre-washing is kind of annoying and such an easy thing to overlook, but you don't want to be spending all the time and energy making these clothes and have them shrink the second you wash them. I'm gonna go wash it in hot water and also put it in the dryer. Let's go.
I am not blessed with an in-suite washer dryer, so pre-washing my fabric means going to the laundry room of my building to do so. But honestly, having a laundry room in your building with access to multiple washer and dryers definitely has its perks. While I waited for that to be done, I started to draw out my idea. I am such a pen to paper girl, so I love these pose templates from Fashionary. As you can see, it's hard to see the template through the paper, so I used my window as a light box to trace it out.
Look at
Here are some references for the dress I found online. For the design, I'm leading towards a dress with a fuller long skirt. I typically gravitate to more form-fitting dresses, so I wanted to mix it up. I'm thinking of a form-fitting princess seam bodice, fuller skirt hitting just below the calf, and this dress needs to have pockets. This is the starting point and the vision, so let's see how close I can make it. By this time, my fabric in the wash is done and I'm going to iron it before putting this fabric away for now, since I'll be starting with the testing process using muslin. To draft this dress, I'm going to be using one of my existing sewing patterns as a starting point. This pattern is actually a reversible vest with princess seams that I have available, linked down below if you're interested. To modify the front bodice, I started by tracing the pieces onto my drafting paper. I had a few modifications I need to do. Remove the front button extension since it will be cut on the fold now. I also needed to remove the strap from the center front pattern piece and shift it to the side pattern piece, and adjust the neckline. I wanted to do a quick test before moving on to the back. I used some muslin to cut out my pattern pieces. I'm only testing half the bodice. I'm so happy I did this because I did not like the way the princess seam was heading. I used a pencil to draw out my preferred design and called it a night. Okay, it's been a minute since I've worked on this dress, and there's a lot I want to accomplish tonight. For the record, this is how I'm spending my Friday night. I made the pattern modifications to my front bodice, and I also modified the back bodice pattern pieces, which had to now accommodate a zipper. Since it was getting close to midnight, and I don't sew after midnight, I just finished up cutting out my sample pieces in muslin and went to bed. Right now, I have my bodice pieces cut out and I'm going to sew them together and see how the sample fits. And if I like how it fits, I'm going to cut out another set of the bodice as my lining because I'm going to be lining this dress only in the bodice. I'm not going to bother with the skirt. It's more just for the coverage up top and how to have clean shoulders and hems. I just feel like the only way to achieve that look is with a lining. After I sewed my bodice pieces together, I went over and pressed all the seams flat. And of course, I can't take the ironing board out without Nugget using it as a bed. Fitting things on yourself is so incredibly hard. I tried to use my dress form and it was like it wasn't even meant for a human body. That's how it laid on there. It was quite frustrating. But when I put it on, it's not so bad. Obviously, I can't pin the back. I know it's kind of hard to tell, but I'm kind of happy with the fit. I also added this cute little point to the front of the dress. I've been seeing that kind of silhouette a lot lately, and I'm kind of into it. I think it's kind of fun. It adds just like a little detail and element to the dress. I'm going to do this one more time as the lining and sew it all together, and then we'll do another fit test. So the way I sewed this bodice together does not work with the way I wanted to attach my lining, so I had to seam rip my side seams. Once I had both my lining and my dress bodices constructed, I pressed and started to pin them right sides together around the neckline and the armhole, and sewed. I clipped all the curved edges before turning the bodice right side out. Okay, that took forever, but it is time to press it and see what we're working with. The fit of this is pretty good, but I really love the neckline and I do like the pointed front. I'm going to have to pick this back up on Tuesday, which will be when I draft and sample the skirt. At least the bodice is done though. Okay, so we are starting to draft the skirt. The bodice test sample is completely done. And next up is the skirt, which my plan is to draft and test it tonight. So to figure out my waist measurement, I'm just going to be measuring the waist of the bodice. From that measurement, I was able to start drafting my skirt. I knew I wanted a fuller skirt, so I went for a 3/4 circle skirt. I found this great website that had all the instructions and the equations to get the correct measurement for your waist, and I will have that link down below if you're interested in drafting one yourself. My skirt is officially drafted and I am going to do a quick test. The length of the skirt is 32 inches and for the test I'm going to make it much shorter just to conserve fabric, and the length isn't really something I'm too concerned about. It's more how it's going to fit on the waist. The bodice of the dress has a point and I haven't replicated that point yet onto my skirt pattern. I think I'm going to do that after I've made the mock and just kind of see how it's going to fit. Skirt is on. This is how the sample looks so far. Construction, I didn't do the best job, but we're getting close to my midnight deadline and I'm getting increasingly tired. So I am going to try this on really quickly and see how it looks. Now that the skirt is attached, I can kind of see a few of the problems I have in the bodice. The bodice is too long for me, so I need to shorten the torso, probably about 1 inch. I have all this extra room in the shoulder. I think I'm also going to take this opportunity to bring in the waist a little bit. So I have more like pattern work to do than I was anticipating, but that's why we make samples. To be continued. Good morning. So this is the moment of truth. I have finally finished the pattern and I'm going to lay it out on my fabric to see how much fabric I have and still need. I have a feeling I'm going to need more because I did go with the fuller skirt, so it does take up quite a bit of space because I have to cut out 2 bodices. I'm also doing pockets. So I am expecting to probably have to buy more materials. I need to lay out my pieces, see how much I need. I can do the lining and the pockets with a different material since you won't see it, but as long as I have enough for the outer dress, which I might, I could be okay. I definitely need a lot more fabric. I bought 2 yards and I still need another 2 yards, which is crazy, but it's the fullness and the length of the skirt. I'm going to head out to the fabric store and pick up more linen, more red linen. Hopefully they have the same exact dye lot. I bought this a couple weeks ago and I can't imagine it being like something that sells a lot, but if it does, then I will have to get new fabric. Going to buy fabric was not a great idea, or, wishful thinking. So I went back to the same store that I purchased the original fabric in a few weeks ago, and I purchased what I was hoping would be the same, but after washing it, it is very clear to me that it is not the same. Not only is the color slightly off, but the feel of the material is way off. The older material is a lot more softer, whereas the new material is a little bit thicker and has more of that like wrinkly linen look to it. I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to pick up on camera how different it is, but it's too different for me to continue on with this design. So I have to kind of come up with a new plan.
This was my cue to take a small break and eat while coming up with a plan for my dress.
Instead of making the skirt of the dress a 3/4 of a full circle skirt, I went with half of a circle skirt. So I took out some of the volume and we're going to see if that allows it to fit on the fabric.
Even with the adjustments, the fabric still isn't wide enough for my center front piece, but if I turn the pattern piece against the grain line, all the main dress pattern pieces now fit. This is definitely a faux pas, but I didn't really have much of a choice since it was the only way to make everything work. I will use the fabric I purchased today for the lining pieces as well as the pocket bags. Then I went ahead and serged all my pieces. Once everything was serged, I started to construct my bodice.
So it is officially just past 11:30 and I am going to call it for the night. I will be back tomorrow to continue working on this dress. Goodbye.
Thursday after work, I tried to get as much done of the construction as I could. So I worked on the skirt of the dress and installed the pockets, which didn't take too long. Here's what the fullness of the skirt is going to look like now. And I'm not mad about it. I'm not really the voluminous skirt type, so less is kind of more to me.
Okay, another night of working on this dress. Let's see how far I get. Now that the skirt is assembled, I am going to try to finish assembling the dress and putting it together so I can install the zipper. I think the next step is going to be putting the lining and the bodice together. And then from there, I can attach the bodice to the skirt.
Before I could start anything, I had to press all the seams. Then I sewed the bodice the same way I did the sample, with right sides together only along the arm lines and the necklines, stopping about 2 inches before the center back on either side for the zipper installation. After sewing, I went around my seam allowance and clipped the edges to help it lay flat once I flip it right side out. After struggling for a few minutes, I managed to turn the bodice right side out, and after I pressed my bodice flat, it was time to attach the skirt to the bodice. But because I have that point in front, I had a hard time sewing it flat. But little did I know I had bigger problems to worry about.
So I've messed up and I have no idea how I did this somewhere along the lines tonight. But look at this. I went to go pin this onto my dress form to see, how is it coming along. It's all twisted. And I sewed it twisted. And I don't even know how I sewed it twisted. So I'm not really sure how far back I have to seam rip. Okay, I'll be here seam ripping. Today is the day. We are finishing this dress. I've already procrastinated for most of the morning. I ended up fixing the armhole situation. I had to do a bit of seam ripping, but it wasn't too bad. Then I actually brought my dress into work yesterday so I can get one of my coworkers to help me pin it on me and fit it because I had a feeling it was a little bit too big, and it is. There is quite a bit I have to remove from the back of the dress, and I still need to fix the point. The point is not pointing the way I want it to. After several failed attempts of trying to smooth out the point of the bodice, I decided to pin the dress to my dress form inside out so I could pin the waistline that way. Crossing my fingers that this will work this time, and it did. Finally happy with the way this fits, and it's still not perfect, but I'm just going to leave it alone because we're running out of time here. Once I fitted this dress, I am removing several inches from the dress. It is way too big. I have no idea how I did this, but at least this is the better problem to have, and the side seams line up, so it's only too big in the back. I think to err on the side of caution, I will not cut anything off until after I've sewn in the zipper. The zipper is in. It's not in well. I'm still trying to figure out how to make it look nice with the lining. Before I go any further, I'm going to do a very quick fit test to see. And this is the moment of truth here. If it doesn't fit, I'm quite literally just giving up and calling this a week. I'm happy. It's definitely not going to be finished as cleanly on the inside as I would like, but that's okay. I am going to finish up the zipper, see how that looks, and then I'm going to put on a pair of heels and figure out the hem, and then it's done. Now that I am confident with the fit, I am going to trim off the excess fabric from the zipper. Afterwards, I carefully ran my serger along the zipper edge to create a clean finish. To do the hem, I put on some heels and took this video to see if it was even, and as you can tell, it's not. One side is slightly longer than the other, so after evening that out, I serged the raw edges and did a double folded hem. Then I filmed this whole outro leading you to the final reveal of this dress. Of course, it's 11 p.m. at night and my mic died and I didn't realize. So this is how the dress turned out. I ended up having just enough fabric to make a little matching hair tie, which I think really tied the whole look together. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to subscribe and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!